There's the entrance. Light colors. Hi, you like all this big room in here?
I still have these work.
The McStay family was living the dream in their Southern California home. Joseph, the dad, had a successful business making waterfalls. He loved spending time with his wife, Summer. Their two young sons, Gianni and Joey Jr., were a close-knit family, always together, enjoying life and making memories. They had friends and family who loved being around them, and life seemed perfect as they watched their boys grow. But then, in February 2010, something unthinkable happened. The McStays disappeared. What comes next is the story of a happy family's sudden vanishing. This mystery puzzled everyone, and there was a search for answers. The McStay family was ordinary in Southern California. They were loving and had big plans for the future. Joseph was a devoted father and husband, in addition to being a successful businessman. Summer, his wife, was their bonding agent. She was always upbeat and willing to lend a hand. They were raising two energetic boys together, Joey Jr., who was only 3, and Gianni, who was 4. Play, laughter, and a contagious kind of love just by being in their home were all present. Summer and Joseph had lofty aspirations. Their goal was to provide their boys with the most extraordinary life possible, full of joy, adventure, and the ability to pursue their dreams. They traveled, experienced the outside world, and relished every second they had as a family. The McStays were a team prepared to take on the world. They were more than just a family. Joseph's business, Earth-inspired products, was his business and his family. He created stunning waterfalls by bringing minor nature into people's gardens and homes. Making money was not the only goal of his work. He also wanted to create something beautiful and long-lasting that would bring happiness to others. It was also a success. Many people enjoyed Joseph's waterfalls, and his business was doing well. Joseph encountered Dan Cavanagh and Charles Merritt on his travels. Business partner Charles collaborated closely with Joseph, contributing his own expertise. Conversely, Dan was the tech expert who understood how to promote Earth-inspired products online. Both contributed to the company and helped Joseph realize his goal of improving the world one waterfall at a time. The unexpected disappearance of the McStay family on February 4th, 2010, left their loved ones bewildered and increasingly concerned. Concern first surfaced when Joseph McStay failed to answer his father's calls. Joseph was well known for his close familial ties and prompt communication, so this behavior was out of character. Joseph's brother was contacted by his worried father, who asked him to visit the family at their Fallbrook residence. The visit occurred after some time to add to the stress and uncertainty. Unease became alarm as days passed with no word from Joseph or Summer. Joseph's brother saw a scene that left him with more questions than answers when he eventually paid the McStay residence a visit. The house had an unsettling quiet, with traces of everyday life remaining undisturbed, as if the family planned to move back in soon. Half-prepared meals, the family's usual disarray of personal items, and their dogs left alone painted a picture of a life suddenly stopped. It was concerning that the McStays had suddenly and unusually stopped talking to their father, especially Joseph. The mystery was further heightened by the lack of apparent indications of a struggle or forced entry at their residence. A perplexing question was left unanswered by the community and the family's circle of friends and family. How could a family so essential to their lives just disappear? Joseph's father's initial worry had now turned into a shared concern, signaling the start of an intensely hopeful and desperate hunt for any evidence of the McStays. Due to early errors, most notably in how their home was handled, the investigation into the disappearance of the McStay family faced many difficulties in the crucial initial days after they vanished. Before realizing the situation's seriousness, authorities failed to block off the McStay home as a possible crime scene. Due to this oversight, the house could have been cleaned and accessed, potentially resulting in the accidental destruction of crucial forensic evidence. Friends and family entered the house without following the proper procedures to secure the scene, hoping to find any signs or hints explaining the family's abrupt disappearance. Little did they know that their well-meaning attempts might jeopardize necessary evidence. The intricacy of the case was underestimated during this initial phase of the investigation. One could have initially assumed there was no foul play because the house looked undisturbed, with ordinary items and unfinished meals. Consequently, there was a delay in gathering the comprehensive and methodical evidence essential in the initial hours following any disappearance. Furthermore, by not treating the house as a crime scene right away, investigators missed the chance to collect forensic evidence that could have provided a more precise picture of the family's final moments there. Potential hints such as fingerprints, DNA, and indications of unusual activity were not preserved or examined in an investigation that would later turn out to be far more sinister than initially thought, due to this lack of prompt, thorough examination. These early mistakes highlighted how crucial it is to handle missing person cases seriously from the moment they are reported. The early choices to allow the McStay home to be cleaned up too soon and to not seal it off were mistakes that might have made it more challenging to figure out what actually happened to the family. One of the most crucial turning points in the McStay family's disappearance investigation was the finding of their white Isuzu Trooper. This discovery, which was made in a parking lot close to the border between the United States and Mexico in San Isidro, California, changed the direction of the investigation. The family's whereabouts may have been revealed by the car, which was found on February the 8th, a few days after they were last seen. Investigators discovered brand new toys inside that were still wrapped in blankets, suggesting that the family might have been preparing for a trip or other activity. But there were no apparent signs indicating where they were supposed to go or what might have happened to them when they got out of the car. The release of CCTV footage from the border area further complicated matters. A family of 4 that looked like the McStays was seen in the video, strolling hand in hand towards the Mexican border. The day the car was discovered and this footage was released, there was a lot of conjecture that the McStays had left the country willingly. The video was shared by law enforcement and media organizations, raising the possibility that the family had moved to Mexico to start over. However, the McStay family and friends quickly voiced their doubts regarding this theory. They firmly believed that Joseph, Summer, Gianni, and Joey Jr. were not the individuals depicted in the video. They emphasized that it was unusual for the family to depart without telling anyone, pointing out differences in behavior and outward appearance. Joseph's father, mother, and brother were especially outspoken, pointing out physical characteristics such as height and build that made them think the family in the CCTV footage was not the family they knew. The investigation pursued the theory that the McStays had entered Mexico of their own volition despite these objections. Resources and attention were removed from other possible leads, favoring the border crossing theory. The family's immediate and firm conviction to the contrary notwithstanding, the insistence on this story underscores the difficulties in conducting missing person investigations, as presumptions can substantially influence the search's course and efficacy. These initial investigative choices complicated the McStays case. The difficulty in piecing together the final movements of a family that, to those who knew them best, seemed to have vanished without a trace, was highlighted by the reliance on circumstantial evidence, such as the CCTV footage and the interpretation of the family's intentions in the absence of hard evidence. This hopeful and frustrating investigation phase highlights the complex puzzle that the McStay family's loved ones and law enforcement attempted to piece together while clinging to the ever-distant hope of solutions. About 4 years after the disappearance, on November 12, 2013, a motorcyclist travelling through the Mojave Desert came upon what looked to be human bones strewn all over the barren terrain. The case's focus was suddenly altered by this grim discovery close to Victorville, California, roughly 100 miles north of the McStay family's residence. The moment law enforcement arrived on the scene, a serious investigation that would turn the case of the missing person into a murder investigation got underway. In the days that followed, forensic experts painstakingly unearthed 2 shallow graves holding the skeletons of 4 people. Dental records verified the devastating truth. Joseph McStay, his wife Summer, and their 2 young sons, Gianni and Joey Jr., were the owners of the remains. The years of speculating and searching came to an end with this discovery, which tragically closed the case on the family's whereabouts, but also opened a new line of inquiry into their premature deaths. Upon excavating the grave, shocking information regarding the McStay family's last moments was discovered. One of the scariest bits of evidence was a 3-pound sledgehammer that was found next to the family's corpses. It revealed the horrific way the family had been murdered. The state of the skeletal remains was a silent record of the abuse they experienced. A violent confirmation of Joseph and Summer's violent demise. They had both sustained blunt force injuries to the head. The analysis of the kids' skulls produced the most devastating evidence, though. The elder of the 2 sons, Gianni, had suffered at least 7 blows, an incomprehensible degree of cruelty. A grim detail that added to the already depressing findings was the discovery of a white extension cord wrapped around Joseph's neck, indicating a degree of cruelty and premeditation in the act. The evidence gathered from the gravesite depicted a dismal picture of the last moments spent with the McStay family. The forensic examination of the wounds and the sledgehammer, which was probably used in the murder, highlighted how vicious the crime was. This discovery demonstrated the brutality of the perpetrator, or perpetrators, as well as offering hints as to how the victims died. As investigators examined this data, what happened to the McStay family became evident. They had not just disappeared. Instead, they had been violently abducted from their loved ones. The murder's heinousness, mainly when it came to the defenseless children, had a profound effect on the neighborhood, the detectives, and everyone else involved in the case. As a result, the investigation's focus shifted to finding the McStay family justice. Charles Merritt gradually changed from a business partner to the main suspect in the McStay family case through questionable behavior and telling remarks. After the family vanished, Merritt, who had collaborated closely with Joseph McStay on several Earth-inspired products projects, first seemed like any other worried friend and co-worker. But as the investigation continued, some of his actions started to draw criticism. The bond between Merritt and Joseph was nuanced. Their joint work established a professional relationship, with Merritt contributing significantly to designing and installing the distinctive water fountains that Joseph's company was well known for. However, upon further investigation, irregularities and discrepancies in Merritt's behavior following his disappearance were discovered. Merritt's contradictory statements to law enforcement and the media were among the first warning signs. He frequently used the past tense when speaking of Joseph and the family, which is a subtle but concerning word choice for someone who is thought to be missing but is not yet officially dead. This typo indicated a more profound understanding or engagement than a simple association. Merritt's actions regarding the business and financial dealings with Joseph added to the suspicions. Amidst the uncertainty surrounding the whereabouts of the McStay family, Merritt was discovered to have acted opportunistically and inappropriately in taking quick control over certain aspects of Joseph's business in the days that followed their disappearance. His eagerness to meddle in Earth-inspired products' financial affairs and the absence of Joseph's explicit consent suggested that greed might drive him. The mosaic of guilt started to take shape as investigators put the timeline together and closely examined Merritt's activities and conversations around the time of their disappearance. The suspicion was placed squarely on Merritt because of his close relationship with the McStay family, both personally and professionally. His early knowledge of their fate hinted at by using the past tense, and his dubious financial actions after his disappearance. The disintegration of Charles Merritt's relationship with Joseph, behavioral analysis, and forensic evidence all contributed to his transformation from associate to suspect. What had begun as a business partnership gradually became entangled with intentions and deeds, suggesting a darker hand in the tragedy that befell the McStay family. In the McStay family case, Charles Merritt's arrest on November 7, 2014, was a pivotal moment. Following a thorough investigation, law enforcement officials produced a strong case against Merritt, implicating him in the brutal killings of Joseph McStay, Summer, his wife, and their two sons, Gianni and Joey Jr. His trial and subsequent arrest were the result of evidence pointing to betrayal, financial gain, and a well-planned crime. The financial disagreements and Merritt's severe gambling issues formed the foundation of the prosecution's case against Merritt. It turned out that Merritt owed Joseph McStay a significant sum of money, which was a result of Merritt's compulsive gambling. The prosecution emphasized Merritt's financial strain as a key motivation, claiming that Merritt's desperation to end his economic instability drove him to carry out the murders. The digital trail Merritt left behind was one of the most incriminating pieces of evidence. Soon after the family vanished, investigators found that Merritt had written checks to himself from Joseph's business account. Merritt's guilt was highlighted by this act of theft and the hasty deletion of these transactions to hide his tracks. Merritt's cell phone records were also crucial to the case. He was at the scene of the crime, since his phone could be tracked to the vicinity where the McStay family's bodies were discovered. This was a key piece of evidence that established Merritt's presence in the Victorville area of the desert, where the shallow graves were eventually found. The prosecution presented a thorough account of Merritt's activities before and after the McStay family's disappearance during the trial. A compelling case was assembled against Merritt due to his financial desperation, betrayal of Joseph's trust, and tangible evidence connecting him to the crime scene. The defense questioned the validity of the forensic and digital evidence to refute the accusations with alternate theories. Nevertheless, the jury was swayed by the overwhelming weight of the evidence against Merritt. Crucial to the trial's proceedings were Merritt's addiction to gambling, his financial relationships with Joseph, and the forensic evidence. Merritt's conviction resulted from these factors, his actions, and the digital traces he left behind. After Charles Merritt was found guilty on 4 counts of first-degree murder, the tragic story of the McStay family came to a somber end. The trial revealed the financial motivations for the crime and the painstaking efforts put forth by law enforcement to put the pieces of this case together to capture the public's interest. Merritt's conviction brought some justice to the McStay family. It served as a sobering reminder of the terrible effects of greed and betrayal.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Charles Ray Merritt, guilty of the offense of murder in the first degree.
Charles Merritt has continuously maintained his innocence in the McStay family murders, even in the face of overwhelming evidence during his trial and subsequent conviction. In an unexpected turn of events, Merritt has also implicated Dan Cavanagh, Joseph McStay's other business partner in this incident. This accusation adds complexity and conjecture to an already complex case. Cavanagh, who worked on Earth-Inspired Products' digital division, interacted and transacted financially with Joseph in his own way. But he maintained a strong alibi, putting him well away from the scene of the crime when the McStay family vanished throughout the investigation and trial. However, Merritt's insistence on Cavanagh's involvement raises concerns about the possibility of misdirection or framing. An additional layer of intrigue to the case is the suggestion that Cavanagh may have been involved in the crime, possibly framing Merritt to deflect suspicion. To cast doubt on the veracity of the evidence against Merritt and raise the possibility that Cavanagh's potential motivation and opportunity were overlooked by the investigation, Merritt's defense leaned heavily on this theory. The McStay family case has enthralled and appalled the public, from their unexplained disappearance to the terrifying discovery of their remains and Charles Merritt's trial that followed. Merritt's conviction was supported by solid evidence, including his financial motivations and tangible items linking him to the crime scene. And the investigation uncovered a convoluted web of financial disputes, treachery, and heinous violence. Even so, Merritt's persistent denials of guilt and his charges against Dan Cavanagh cast doubt on the case and raise intriguing possibilities that have not yet been investigated. There are unanswered questions as we consider the tragic demise of the McStay family and the efforts made by the legal system to identify those responsible. Charles Merritt's conviction provided some closure, but there is still room for conjecture given his accusations against Cavanagh and his insistence on his innocence. How do you feel? Does Charles Merritt look like the murderer, or could Dan Cavanagh have something to do with this? Is there a backstory that has yet to be discovered? Please share your thoughts with us by leaving a comment. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on our next story. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified whenever we upload. Join our community today. Did you like the episode? Please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts down below. We love reading your comments and hearing what you think.